to order. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I just had an email a few minutes ago from Lori O'Connor. She had intended to be recorder, but she's had an emergency situation. She's out of town. And so do I have a volunteer to be recorder this morning?
I can do it. Yeah, this is Beth.
Okay, thank you, Beth. Appreciate it. Are there any additional agenda items that anyone has or would like to bring forward? Hearing none, we'll move forward. Please let me know if you can't hear me, because to me, I'm very loud, and I know that I'm not, so. Okay. Okay, minutes from the February 6th meeting. Did everybody receive those? Did everyone receive the minutes from February 6th? Get a chance to read them?
Yes.
And did they look okay?
Yes, they looked fine from when I looked at them.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I have allergies, so sometimes I'm trying not to cough.
Understand. And Carmen, I didn't even know who that was talking till I looked up and saw it was your name.
Oh, every spring when everything starts up out of the ground and
Oh.
stirs everything up.
Yeah, it's miserable. I understand.
You know, another week or so it'll be fine. But
yeah. In the meantime, you sound miserable, and I imagine you are.
well, as soon as I get my prescription filled today, I'll be better.
Oh, okay. So do we have a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
I move that we accept the minutes as written and
Do we have a second?
Heather seconds.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I'm not even looking at the... I guess I need to be watching that too. I forget. Thank
It's okay.
you, Heather.
Between the two of us, we'll get it.
Good. Thank you. Okay. Any objections to... or all in favor? Or do we just approve?
All in favor?
Aye. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and I see Ontario said they did not receive them. They should be posted on the website, and I did send them out probably 2, maybe 3 weeks ago. I'd have to go back and look for sure, but they are posted on the website as well. Okay, Z39.50, order of fields. I just thought I would bring you all up to date with what I know on this. Before Brent left, he sent me an email and he said that it looks like they, meaning the Evergreen developers, won't be fixing the random ordering of the fields in the staff client. It's currently fixed in the web client, which is currently in beta, or maybe the latest one has come out and it's not beta, I'm not quite sure. But they're not putting any more effort into fixing things in our current staff client because of the way the system on which it's built. That's no longer being updated. So, and until we move to the web client, which will be, am I correct, Beth, a couple of releases yet before we're on it?
Actually, it's we're on 2.11. 2.12 just came out. The next release is 3.0, and that's when the web client will be in production.
That's what I was thinking.
And it's projected for fall.
Okay.
October.
And will we be moving directly to that one, or will we be moving to 12?
There's a possibility that we might move to 12 just to get us closer.
Okay.
And do that in the summer.
Okay, so it's possible it's 2 away for us then, before we can use
Correct.
the web client. Okay. But I wanted you all to be aware of where things are with that, so you didn't think that we were ignoring you, because I know it's a little bit of a hassle sometimes. So, any questions or comments there? Okay. Cat 1 requirements, an update on that. As you all knew from the last meeting, the mentors were working on a draft to take to the SAGE User Council in March. We did. The SAGE User Council had a number of recommendations and suggestions that we implement into that before we bring it back to them. And so when we meet this week, later this week, the mentors will be working on some of those things, and hopefully by the time the May meeting for the SAGE Council comes around, we'll have a new draft to them. So, does anyone have any questions or comments? This hasn't been circulated other than to the mentors and to the SAGE User Council members at this point. What kind of recommendations did they have? They wanted some specific lists of requirements that people needed to attain before they applied for this move to Cat 1. And let's see if I can remember what else they had. A couple of the others were just small changes, like we had asked that applicants wishing to advance should have cataloging as a primary job responsibility, and they asked that that be changed to maybe something like one of their primary jobs.
The other thing, Dia, that they suggested was that we actually had a specific form for them to fill out,
right,
than
thank
just
you.
email.
Right, and I have drafted a start of that for the mentors to look at and sent it to them, but I have not heard anything from anyone else. And then they specifically asked about, we had talked about working with a Cat 1 mentor on SAGE for a minimum of 6 months, and they asked if we were really wedded to 6 months, especially if someone had a lot of experience coming in, and we said not necessarily. So we'll be changing how that's written as well. I think that was kind of the majority of the main pieces for that. So hopefully we're getting closer to being at a point where we can move along with that. So, and get some folks trained in that area. Oops. So, new cataloging contact spreadsheet. We have actually had one posted as of about the 3rd week of March, so a couple of weeks ago. Beth put up the new one that has a bit more detail to it. Not everything is going to be filled in for everyone. We didn't go back and try to research when everyone's logins were established, these various permissions, but the folks that have come on more recently, so that we can kind of keep an eye on those folks that we need to be watching to make sure that they are not having any kinds of major issues and that kind of thing. We all have a better knowledge of who is a new cataloger in any of the levels. So any questions with that? That is on the website where it was posted previously. Okay, RDA and RDA bibs, partial RDA bibs 260, 264. This was something that was raised a few months ago with, I think it was Tracy asked about some bibs that had 260 and 264 both in them, and should we take one out? And at this point, we're going to leave them both in. Beth has done some checking to make sure which one is the primary one to show in the catalog, and it is now the 264 that will display first. And if there's missing information, say there's a 260 and it's got, you know, A, B, and C, and the 264 maybe just has B and C in it, subfield A would be displayed from the 260 field. So if there's a missing piece, it's going to go back looking in the other field for that. And there, Beth took a count. This was about a week ago. She did a count. She says there's just less than 1,000 records like this in the system out of about 1 million. So it's not a huge number, but we as catalogers will see it. So.
This is John. I just had one, actually I had two questions, but the first one is that regardless of the order in which they appear?
Yes.
In the marked record? Doesn't matter which one's on top, which one's on the bottom,
correct,
right?
Correct. The system will look for 264 first.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
And then my second question is, we are still, when we are importing records, and we see 260, we are still converting those to 264, right? We're not leaving both.
No, we have not asked people to convert them. At this point, it's okay to leave them both, and the Program for Cooperative Cataloging, which is a national program, has said that it is okay to leave them both in at this point in this transitional time. So. Okay.
All right. Those are my questions.
Okay, great.
I think the justification for having them both in there, and I've noticed it more with OCLC than other places, but I suspect that there's some systems that haven't dealt with the 264 yet.
That could be.
So having the 260 in there allows their system to still work, but it's just speculation on my part.
That very well could be. And that would make sense, especially with vendors that aren't always quick to respond to the needs of their clients.
So if we're importing them, though, there's nothing wrong with changing or converting them over for our records.
No, if you know what you're doing, it's fine. But we have a lot of people that don't have a good grasp of RDA yet, and so I think that's probably why the discussion was to not worry about it.
Okay.
And where I'm hearing a few folks that I've worked with struggling with the 264 is really getting a good grasp of the indicators. So I don't know, maybe that's a good one to list on the next item on the agenda. Meeting
Thanks
training
for all your
opportunity.
help with that. Oops, sorry.
It's okay.
I just wanted to thank you for clarifying that. And yes, I would appreciate having some more training on the indicators.
Great. I was just checking to see if it was on my list, and it is not, so I am adding that currently. I have not had a great deal of input yet on some of these training opportunities, so I want to remind folks, you know, if there's something that you are struggling with that you don't understand real well, or you just think it would be nice to have a refresher, or that you think maybe somebody else may not know because you just figured it out, or whatever, please will you email either Beth or myself so that we can kind of get these into rotation. I'm hoping that maybe within the next month I can get something kind of figured out in terms of scheduling, getting this into kind of a routine for me, and what might work best for other folks. I know we're talking about maybe doing this in, you know, small chunks and recording it and putting it up on the website, but I also would like to be able to have some people there, so if there are questions. So I don't know, has anybody come up with any? I'll list you what I have on my list. Series authorities and how to choose series headings and numeration, including priority order of resources. Assigning parts or parts management. 245 subfields, how best to determine use of the subfield B or the subfield P and N. Format icons, where they're driven from. And now 264 indicators.
Sounds like a good list.
Okay, well, if anybody comes up with anything else, if they just have an aha moment, or as they're working through something and say, you know, it'd really be nice to know that I'm doing this correctly or whatever, feel free. And if you don't have a contact for me or for Beth right away, and you know your mentors right away, feel free to send them, because they can pass it on to us too. Or even if it's just something that you just have a question, feel free to contact a mentor, be it in your area or any of us, and ask, because it's part of what we're around for. So this next one kind of came up, I think, as a discussion in the mentors, that maybe this might be another one of those meeting training opportunities kind of within the meeting itself. And so how many of you are aware that fictitious characters, you know, we used to, well, we've for years put it in a parenthesis behind folks like Sherlock Holmes and gosh, my mind just went blank, Alex Cross, any number of folks who are not real people in a subject field.
Yes, that caused a lot of discussion one day here.
Yeah, and so I don't know if everyone is aware that this is occurring, but since RDA rules have come out, there has been a bit of a shift in the way we look at someone who may be attributed to as an author, for instance, and or just the idea that these are names more than they are a subject. And so slowly, and this is going slowly because it's being done by hand. This isn't something that can be done in an automated fashion. There is a group that is working to move these from a subject, a 650 category, to I made a typo there. It should say 600. And not have the fictitious character notation behind them if it's not necessary to show them as separate from someone else who has a like name, you know, like we do with dates and that kind of thing. So when I was kind of getting all my pieces together, some of you might have seen me working on Sherlock Holmes and John Watson, because the last I knew, and I hadn't checked it, John Watson, Dr. Watson, had not been changed over yet, but he has been now. However, you'll notice he still has this fictitious character behind, and it's now in a subfield C as opposed to part of his name, like it was in the 650. However, if we look at Sherlock Holmes no longer is notated as a fictitious character because the rules say you don't have to do that if there's not a conflicting name. So there are a number of people that will be removed from when they get moved. You can still list them like you would as a subject, even though they're actually now in the name category as opposed to the 650, the subject category, or the name heading, I should say. And that has to do with the authority files. So there's been discussion that this will be helpful in some respects because there are authors like, is it Geronimo? That's the little mouse that's written a number of books. And we've supposedly not been able to attribute them to him because he's not a real person or a real life character. So they're saying that this will help because they'll be able to pull them together now and we can actually attribute them to him. I think it's just a lot of mass confusion at this point, but
But wouldn't Geronimo need fictitious characters since there is a real live, well, he's not alive, but...
There was a person, but it depends on whether there was some title. we'd have to look because I don't know. Beth, how was it we got to, it's advanced and then I haven't done this for a while. Browse this catalog, correct? Did I go the right place?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you did.
Okay, so let's try Geronimo. If I can spell. Okay. I am guessing
Those probably need to be changed.
that's what I was wondering because it looks like this is probably
You've got two headings.
right. Yeah, this is and it's probably these are ones that haven't gotten checked yet. So, and so fictitious character looks like it will probably keep fictitious character. And I'm surprised there's not more of these in here, but.
Yeah, there should be a lot of those.
Mm-hmm.
It could be that these numbers are not updated yet. I'm still running through the linking program.
Okay.
So
if
those numbers may be
if I did the
additive.
search on the other side,
Yeah, you might get more.
might get more. Okay. I just thought that might give us an easier way to see the list. Geronimo Stilton, and maybe if I'd have gone Stilton Geronimo, that probably would have been the better search on. Yeah, so that's one that'll need to go back and be fixed. I'm going to make a note.
Because we have Stilton Geronimo with a period and Stilton Geronimo separate.
Well, but I'm thinking more the other side of those three that.
No, I'm
But
just
yeah,
seeing
this is another. Yeah.
That seems to occur if you do the comma author behind it.
Right. I've seen that too. So I don't know, Beth, is there a way in that it ignores the period or any
Well,
punctuation?
it should be ignoring the punctuation when it indexes. So that's why it's like, are those old ones that didn't get updated? So I just need to look into it.
Well, and it may be exactly as Carmen suggested, that these ones here have the subfield E that says they're
Right.
like an author, or, so let's go look at one of them and see. Yeah, there's a comma there at that one. Yeah, subfield E, author, so that's why. And the other ones probably don't have the relation. So they probably do end in a period. And this is something that's new with RDA too, is adding that relationship factor. So unfortunately, if we can't trick the system or convince the system to ignore those periods, they're not going to file together in this listing. Is that correct?
That's correct, but I thought we had specified the settings so that when it indexed, it ignored the punctuation.
Okay.
But
That's something we'll need to check on, apparently. Okay. Well, we won't bore you all with the details of indexing and our fun little rules, but does that kind of give you an idea of what's going on here with this kind of thing? You'll notice here that Geronimo Stilton is now a 600 field. So if you searched for him in a subject authority search, for instance, this would be where it would tell you to take him, as opposed to the 650, which is what it used to be. And I notice he's had his fictitious character removed as well.
This is John. Just a question that this raises in my mind, is it too early, or would it be appropriate to add to the training list use of subfield E, relationship designators, and punctuation at the end of 1XX fields? Are we too early in the process to start training on that? Because I do see quite a bit of relationship designators in the records.
Right, and that's because of RDA, those folks that have moved to RDA, as we're bringing in records that folks are creating there. I'm just one of the mentors, so I don't know that my opinion carries a lot of weight. But until we get some of our documentation in order to add these things, I think it's going to be confusing for some people probably. But again,
we can add it to the list and put it towards the end, because I think we're going to see more of these on incoming records, and at least understanding that this is the direction things are heading.
And maybe not to remove them or something?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. I can definitely do that. Thanks, John, for that suggestion. Okay. Well, that's the end of the agenda. Don't know if anybody had anything else that was spurred this morning that they want to ask or discuss. It's about 1/2 the hour. I don't want to keep you all if there isn't, but I don't want to cut us short if there are anything lingering in anybody's minds.
Dia, did we want to talk briefly about the series changes or improvements that were just made? I emailed you and Lori, but I don't think I've sent it out broader.
No, I think because it was one of those things that started as a query to the mentors for discussion first. I thought we'd do that there first and then bring it to the committee.
Okay.
So
there were some functional things that were not working in the catalog.
Oh.
The 830 was not displaying in the results list. That has now been corrected. And then another change was in the details display. When you clicked on the series in the details down below, it was the search was failing because it was sending the wrong search string, and so that has been corrected as well.
Okay.
So there were a couple things going on with series that just didn't function, and now they do.
Great.
So Beth, when the 830 shows, but that didn't take away the 490 at the same time, did it? Does it still show?
You know, what it's pulling from, Carmen, is actually the 800 subfield T.
Okay.
And or the 830 subfield A.
Okay. All right.
Since the one that we're actually indexing and tracing is the 800 entry, that's where I'm pulling from.
Okay. Which is curious. Somebody said the other field wasn't showing, and I didn't think it had, but
yeah,
you know,
that was actually me. Sorry to interrupt. I did catalog something the other day and did notice that, whereas normally I would see 2 listings for the series, one for the 490 and one for the 830. I did notice that only the 830 was showing up in the OPAC, and I had thought that I would eventually hear why that was. I'm glad that was intentional and not.
Well, and part of that was because when the 490 was showing, if you clicked on it, it wouldn't give you a response particularly because of the way the index works. And so it would give you kind of like a false positive, if you will. So that had been raised as an issue for us.
Well, and that also makes sense, as the authorized heading is the one that's going to be consistent for searching. So
correct.
So I'm on board.
Great.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks, Beth. I had forgotten that that piece was part of what you'd sent.
Oh, that's fine. I was going to send out an email to the listserv and hadn't done it yet, so I thought this was, since we were meeting, it was a good time to let folks, at least in the meeting, know about those improvements.
And that's a good thing to add when we send out the minutes.
True.
Since we tried to start doing that, and we've kind of missed a few of those of late, so I think because Dia fell down on the job lately when she was been sending them out, so I apologize. Okay, anything else anyone has? The next cataloging committee meeting would be June 5th, being the first Monday of the even-numbered months. Oh, I might mention too, we do have another mentor on board as well. For those of you who know Jenny Simpson from Nessa Public Library, She has agreed to be one of our mentors as well, and she has been with the system a long time as well and is very knowledgeable, and she's willing to share that with folks, and their library's in a position to be able to do that now as well. So we're really thankful to have Jenny on board as one of our mentors as well. And I know she's been added to the listing on the website, correct, Beth? I think I remember seeing that.
Okay, we talked about it, but
Let me double check.
I don't remember whether she's actually up there. I was trying to give some time for the communication to go out, and
I honestly do not remember. My brain's just too fuzzy at the moment, so let's see. Nope, she's not there yet, but she will be shortly. Okay, anything else? And I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you everyone for attending and for your input and for all your work in the system. I know it makes a difference to our patrons.
thanks a lot, Dia.
Thanks, Dia.
Thank you.